Hello everyone and welcome to another live protocol video. So on this video we're going to be tackling the topic of gender dysphoria through the MBTI perspective. So this is another theory of mine, and I was trying to pinpoint if there's such a thing as a more female oriented cognitive function and if there's a more male oriented cognitive function. So I went to look through the statistics and I came to the conclusion that feeling is way more predominant in women and thinking is way more predominant in men. So that made me wonder if, for example, women that display a more masculine behavior, if they lead with a more thinking oriented function and on the other hand, maybe more males that display a more sensitive or a more feminine way of being, if they do have introverted or extroverted feeling in their top two functions. Let's say, just for an example, you know, the ISTPs lead with TI, SE. So, and I do believe also that SE might be, I'm not sure about this, don't quote me on that, SE might be a more male-oriented function than SR. But I'm not sure about that. But thinking and feeling, I'm pretty sure that thinking is more, these are the cognitive functions. Doesn't mean that men think and women don't think. It's nothing like that. It's just the males are more oriented to these functions, the thinking functions, and females are more oriented to the feeling functions. So it came at no surprise to me that all the so-called tomboys actually belong to the ISTP personality type, because they are introverted thinking first and extroverted sensing second. But how does that relate to sexual orientation and gender orientation? We'll find out in the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you love the show.
What is gender dysphoria? MBTI perspective. The transgender movement is another one of those situations that leave many scratching their heads. Many people believe gender dysphoria, or feeling like being born in the wrong body, is caused by social contagion, fed by a mix of social media, woke ideology, and radical leftist thinking. Others swear gender dysphoria has always been a part of human nature, but because it was not socially accepted, we weren't aware of its existence, at least not to the extent it is now. It seems like each day a new story reaches the mainstream that is related to gender, identity, or sexual preference. I don't know what the truth is, but it probably lies between both positions. But what if I could provide an alternative view of the issue? Maybe there's something people are not considering, and perhaps could tie everything together. And that is the MBTI perspective. Famous psychologist Carl Jung first discovered what we in the community know as cognitive functions. Some are introverted, others are extroverted, some are intuitive, others are sensorial, but the ones that matter the most to our video are the ones related to thinking and feeling. If we look at the statistics, we quickly realize that some functions are more predominantly present in women, and others are more predominantly present in men. For example, the cognitive functions Carl Jung described as thinking are much more predominant in males. I'm talking about introverted thinking, or TI, and extroverted thinking, or TE. And the function Carl Jung called feeling is more predominant in biologically born females. They are introverted feeling, or FI, and extroverted feeling, or FE. It is my theory that extroverted feeling, or FE, is nothing more than an evolved version of what we call maternal instinct. I found that the vast majority of people who are born biological females have extroverted feeling as their dominant or secondary function. These are the ESFJs, ISFJs, INFJs, and ENFJs. The majority of these types are born biological females, but not all of them. ESFJs and ENFJs lead with FE, or extroverted feeling, as their dominant function, and INFJs and ISFJs have it as their second function. But what happens to the lower percentage of these types that are born biological males? How do males with strong extroverted feeling behave? One thing we witness with high FE types when they are born male is that they are not your stereotypical alpha male. They display a more sensible and nuanced stance. They may even display tastes that would be stereotypically attributed to females, like being extremely family-oriented, sensitive, sacrificial, protective, and nurturing. So we can conclude that masculinity does exist on a spectrum, from the man that displays more delicate characteristics, to the so-called testosterone-filled alpha male. Does that mean that most sensitive men were born in the wrong body? Probably not. The difference between them and more masculine men is what I like to call our operating system. The same can be said about persons who are born biological women, but are more inclined towards the thinking function, rather than the feeling function. Women who are born with introverted or extroverted thinking, TI or TE as their primary or secondary function, tend to display traits that would be more easily attributed to males. The most evident cases are ESTPs, INTPs, ENTPs, and the most flagrant one, the ISTPs. ISTP women are the so-called tomboys. If you ever met women that like to work on car engines, play sports with the boys, hunt, etc., you can almost be assured they are ISTPs. Does that mean that these women were born in the wrong body? Probably not, they just were born with a more masculine operating system. But why are women more connected to feelings? And men more connected to thinking? I can't say for sure, but it might have something to do with their childbearing biological imposed duties of being the primary caretakers of their newborn babies. This shifts their focus towards other human beings. Stereotypical women are primarily interested in people, feelings and relationships. In the case of men the story changes. I think men became more connected to thinking, perhaps because of their ancient hunting and protective roles. Let's elaborate. Ancient males were tasked with fighting off rival tribes, where they were forced to use their ingenuity and superior body strength to safeguard their people from rival tribes. The male body is 67% stronger in absolute strength terms than the female body. Men are the obvious choice to perform more physically demanding tasks. That means they were also tasked with providing their people with meat through animal hunting. Animals also have a survival instinct. They will do whatever they can to avoid being captured. Our male ancestors had to outsmart and outthink other beings, animals and rival tribes, in order to ensure their survival, and the survival of their tribe. In other words, critical thinking or problem solving was something that fell more towards the male demographic, simply due to the fact that their body is bigger and stronger, compared to females. This doesn't mean men are smarter or more intelligent than women, their brains just evolved that way. They became more interested in problem solving and concrete actions than women did. Now what we have to understand is that with time, these cognitive functions of masculine thinking and feminine feeling got passed down from generation to generation. Masculine functions can be passed down to women, and female functions can be passed down to men. But knowing that females can be born with dominant masculine cognitive functions, and that doesn't change their heterosexual preferences, proves that the spectrum of types of women can go from very feminine to more masculine. The same can be said for males. Men can be born with dominant female cognitive functions such as FI or FE, making them more sensitive and emotional. But the fact they are still attracted to the opposite sex proves that there's also a spectrum in men, from beta to alpha male. Now this doesn't mean that gender dysphoria isn't real. I do believe gender dysphoria is a real thing, and affects a smaller percentage of the population. I cannot with any type of certainty access the reasons behind gender dysphoria. It might be hormonal anomalies, real-life events that bend the mind, or a mix of both perhaps. It's too complex of an issue for me to try accurately pinpoint. Whatever the reason may be, I hope this information proves useful to confused younger people, or parents of younger kids that display traits of the opposite gender. Just because you, as a teenager, or your kids, in case you are a parent, display atypical traits, doesn't necessarily mean gender dysphoria. You or your kid may just be a more feminine male, or a more masculine female. If this is happening to you in some capacity, the best course of action is to contact a professional, get a professional assessment from a psychologist, or better yet, a variety of psychologists. Most of the time the issue is psychological and not physical. It is wise to refrain from irreversible practices before reaching an educated and well-researched conclusion. After this assessment, if it's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is indeed gender dysphoria, then yes, a new type of conversation can begin. But this conversation is just the beginning. Rushed decisions have a way to come back to haunt you. Research, research, research. Did I mention research? Everyone is entitled to live their best life. I cannot even begin to imagine how someone affected by gender dysphoria feels, and that is why they deserve our utmost respect, sympathy, and support. We should always try to see things from both sides, but in this specific case, the consequences may be too great. We need to be very careful not to confuse real gender dysphoria with mere personality traits. I hope this video helps to bring some clarity to inquiring minds, and shines a different light on this not so simple subject. Thank you for watching.
If you liked the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. That will allow us to keep making more videos like this. For more related content, please click on one of the suggested videos. Thank you for watching.